What's good, LL Nation? Lucky Lefty podcast. I guess we call it an emergency podcast because we'll be right back with you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast YouTube channel. We see the comments already lining up. Excited you guys are jumping in with us. I want to talk about what's going on. What the hell is going on with the wide receiver position at Notre Dame? And the narratives that are out there and how it's impacting recruiting. Tobias Merriweather was in South Bend this weekend. Things went really well. Seems like he's going to end up signing with Notre Dame on tomorrow. And his pops is looking for barbecue places in South Bend this weekend. So
That's right.
that's always a good sign. You know, when pops is on social media, like, yo, give me the barbecue places. Before we dive in, as always, the Lucky Lefty podcast. I am Shaun Davis at SB2 Mics. That guy right there, the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire at Overtime Malik, presented and featuring Onora Whisky. Go to OnoraWhisky.com, get some of that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhisky.com. So, back to the message at hand. Yeah, man. Tobias Merriweather, solid. Omarion Walker, dude, flirting with Michigan. Just flirting with Michigan for like the last month and a half. Who knows what happens tomorrow? And then, CJ Williams had an in-home visit from Marcus Freeman and Tommy Rees last week. According to him, everything went well. He was like kind of reaffirmed, and I love what Tommy Rees said. But he was going to take a trip with like 12 other players from Southern California up to USC this weekend. They went to the USC basketball game yesterday. It was a really good weekend. And first and foremost, particularly for CJ Williams, you've seen him play. You're out there coaching in California. With the decommitment of CJ Williams, what is Notre Dame really missing?
Well, I think right now it's the some not everybody buys into the Marcus Freeman hype just yet. Some people want to be able to be in an established situation. Coach Kelly provides experience, and he can reach back years and years on how well in depth he has been in the college football landscape. It can give a family some confidence. But a guy like C.J. Williams, he went to a school like Modern Day. Their head coach has been there for centuries. So he's looking, and he probably feels as though the established head coach probably gets him where he wants in the game, and you can respect that. I think if anything, this offers Marcus Freeman an opportunity to get a bona fide receivers coach, get a guy with a big name, a guy that flashes. I know Brian Harline was talked about. We know how that couldn't happen, but getting a guy out there that's got a big name, Kerry Cooks or Todd Light are examples. Notre Dame, we had Matt LaFleur,
Right.
so we can get some guys that flash across the screen as great assistant coaches and great position coaches to attract those C.J. Williams star players that are more bona fide in the rankings, but also you get a chance to look at it from the perspective of, okay, we may not like that recruit like CJ. We may get a guy that may be underrated and get a guy that wants to step up to the plate and buys in. Those are the Marcus Freeman recruits that we're looking for, and it's something that we can definitely do.
So on film, what type of receiver is CJ Williams, and how would he have fit into the offense, or where do you see him fitting for USC?
Well, CJ, what I really like about him, he's got the great size. Not too many receivers have great size coming out of high school. Some of them got some frame they have to add to. I know Miles Boykin was a guy, Equinemius was a guy that we added weight onto a frame. But CJ's a ready to go player that you can plug and play right now in a college system because he's got the size and he'll look the part, but also he's an all-around receiver. He has the ability to go downfield. He has the ability to go across the middle. He can catch some screens. So him being this versatile and all-around receiver, that's something that's a solid piece to have and a great receiver room. You go to all the great receiver rooms right now, the Ohio States, the Alabamas of the world. They have a great all-around receiver. Jamison Williams is Alabama's great all-around receiver. So these are examples of what it takes to build an all-star receiver room, and C.J. Williams is definitely a solid piece for that.
So, man, when we look at Dale Alexander, because I really want to get into a couple of things, and we're not going to keep everybody long, man. We'll get to your comments here. Um, you look at 2018, it's like Lawrence Keys, Michael Jones, they're gone, and Cam Hart and Kendall Abdul Rahman in 2019. Cam Hart's a wide receiver. Abdul Rahman is transferred. It's like, you look at the work and the resume of wide receiver coach Dale Alexander, and as much as Marcus Freeman says he likes, this current staff and the guys on the staff, it's recruiting is one thing, retention is another thing, and then development is another thing. And I just don't think Dale Alexander has done a good job in any of those areas since he's been here as a wide receiver coach at Notre Dame. So, with that being said, Marcus Freeman has to take a look at this, man, because ultimately, moving forward, we're going to get into how much of this is going to fall on Tommy Rees to change this narrative. But the narrative about wide receivers in Notre Dame and the pipeline to the NFL, even though, look, we're watching Ben Skoranek play for the Rams right now on Monday Night Football. But nobody's looking at Ben Skoranek, a high school kid, saying, yo, that's a dude that stands out for me. And, is the pipeline that Notre Dame has to the NFL. Like, this narrative has to change. And like you said, as much as Marcus Freeman has been kind of like a wave to ride for the university and for the fan base, some of these youngsters just aren't buying into it.
Yeah, and that's just some of the lumps and the experiences that he's going to have to face as a head coach, which is where his head coach experience will come in and making hires that are going to suit what the situation fits. I think that's something Coach Kelly had a strong suit in. I remember us losing Coach Martin. We rebound with a Matt LaFleur. I mean, that's a great way to pick up on a coach where he was the center of what we were doing on offense. Get a guy like Matt LaFleur to come in and pick up where he left off. I think that was a great hire. So this is just an opportunity for Marcus Freeman to take a look at, the resume once again. I think recruiting shows an early sign that you have to reevaluate maybe the staff if you're not attracting the right players like you were before. And, this is one of those tough conversations you have to have as a head coach. Dale Alexander definitely has been a part of some great teams and some receiver rooms that have been pretty solid. I mean, like you said, Ben Skoranek was playing. I mean, Chase Claypool's playing. But even those are the guys that don't stick with you if you're, as a recruit, if you're looking to follow that kind of path. Even with a Chase Claypool, he didn't start being Mapletron until the league. I mean that's something we always knew on the team, but it was never on that kind of stage for a Notre Dame football team. So it's really important that he does reevaluate the receiver room, but it's still early. I mean, hey, it's one guy. I think Marcus Freeman is still getting his guys in there. I mean, we haven't even begun to see the type of effect that's really taking place. And you're gonna lose some guys considering that they committed to a different program. Committing to a Coach Kelly program is different than a Marcus Freeman program.
Yeah, Lucky Lefty podcast with Shaun Davis, Malik Zaire, talking about the decommitment of C.J. Williams from Mater Day. All signs point to him signing with USC. There are a lot of stories out there saying he's going to wait to reveal his choice at the All-American, U.S. All-American game. But look, we knew what it was, and we knew the chances that once he said he's going to visit USC this weekend with a lot of other players that he knew from Southern California. You knew the vibe. They were going to feel like they could be the resurgence of USC. And it's a wave that Lincoln Riley has out there, similar to Marcus Freeman on the West Coast. So, it's
Yeah,
not
Lincoln
totally
Riley is a
unexpected.
master recruiter, and this is a great spot for him to be in at USC. He wants to gobble up those West Coast recruits as fast as he can,
Yeah.
And he's got the pizzazz. I mean, how are you not going to at least take a visit? You right in the hometown. They've had a knock on them for a long time. And a guy like Lincoln Riley, you think of Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, all the type of players he's had. And if anything, one thing's for sure, you're going to have a solid quarterback throwing you the rock. This this is something that Coach Freeman has to look at with making splash recruitments at quarterback.
Yeah.
These receivers know who they like throwing to, and they know that Malachi Nelson has 5 million yards in high school, and these quarterbacks are having some great stats. They're number one quarterbacks, and then they talk about Lincoln Riley. So these California kids see the writing on the wall with what Lincoln Riley has put out there on the field, and with Marcus Freeman not having that position yet, it's hard to really gauge what you're going to get on offense as a final product, especially at the quarterback position.
That's the next point. That's a perfect segue. And I hate to say it because a lot is on his plate to prove himself as a play caller, but hey, Tommy Rees has to go out and get a Dante Moore, bro. Like, if you're gonna change this whole thing around, like this pressure falls on Tommy Rees. This is in his court. The ball is in his court.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go get a difference maker at the quarterback position. You got to change the narrative in the quarterback room. And like you said, these kids being on the circuit, the 11 on 11, and all these camps, they know who is who. They know who the top guys are. So, we just saw South Carolina, moments after Spencer Rattler committed to South Carolina, and one of the best tight ends in the transfer portal said, okay, I'm coming there too.
Yeah.
Like, wide receivers and guys that, are specialists, wide receivers, athletes, tight ends, those that catch the ball, they want to go somewhere where they know they have a top-notch quarterback. And, we like Tyler Buckner. We're looking forward to seeing how he can develop and what Tommy Rees can do with him. But the quarterback position at Notre Dame hasn't been stellar.
Hasn't been stellar. And so it definitely hasn't been stellar enough to attract free agents. And this is just the new game that has come down to. And with a guy like Marcus Freeman, we can play more into the transfer portal. We can play more into the non traditional style of recruiting outside of a Brian Kelly style of recruiting, which will be refreshing for us. We can go play with a team that we can put together on the fly and be a LSU that gets these Joe Burrows and gets these one-off recruits. We can be a team like that because we can attract a vibe like that, and it definitely starts at the quarterback position. Tommy Rees, like you said, is on center stage. You can't hide behind a great defense. Can't hide behind a head coach that's a headliner. He's definitely in that position where it's going to be the spotlight, and it's going to come down to who his quarterback is. So it's no longer game manager. A lot of things are going to change considering Marcus Freeman's a defensive coach, so he can only go so far in convincing a five-star quarterback to come to his place. Coach Kelly can, because he can just show his resume. I mean, he's even going down there, even getting in the. I mean, $100 million change a man real quick. I mean, he down there in the recruiting, taking pictures and the spin around pictures. I mean, he's committed 100%. But he's gonna get a quarterback that fits his kind of style, and he's got that. So, what is Tommy's style going to be? I didn't think the first thing Tommy's quarterback would look like is Tyler Buckner. But this is something where Tyler Buckner's in the hot seat as well. This is Notre Dame, so being in position to get ready to play is important. But this spring is going to be a good look for Marcus Freeman to maybe tap Tommy Rees on the shoulder and be like, "Look, we seen what we need to see in the spring. We got Ohio State. We need to go get a guy. It's still enough time to get a guy." So I think the spring is a good trial run for this, but it's definitely quick adjustments got to be made because this first game is one that you want to make a splash. Even if we don't win, we don't want it to be a Michigan State appearance.
Yeah. So let's go to some of these comments and questions. Captain and Coke 70 sucks losing CJ. However, we would still have the chance for some uncommitted kids after the early signing period. Just remember how Will Fuller fell in our laps. Keep the faith. That's an option. But if you want to be a top-notch program, you don't want to live off of late uncommitted kids, especially if they're not elite. If you want to get back in on a Xavier Bradshaw who just picked up an offer from Virginia Tech, I want to say recently, Because before that, he really didn't have any of the big time programs on him. Notre Dame was on him. He visited the campus. His official visit was like this June, and from what we can tell and things we've heard, there was some issues maybe with him, possibly academically and some other things that came into play. I don't know if Notre Dame is interested in getting back on him. He's definitely a difference maker out of Virginia, but no, you don't want to live like that. Like Will Fuller is like a unicorn, man. Like you don't get guys that fall to you like that late. You muted, bro.
Yeah, Will Fuller was like a 3-star in the middle of a Catholic school in Philadelphia. Like
Right.
that's a really great pick. And I recruited Will Fuller. It wasn't like Will just Brian Kelly just whisked him away. I mean, we put some work in when Will came up to school as well. But in this recruiting game, I think the stability that Brian Kelly holds as a factor,
Yeah.
it goes away. And so this is a fresh, raw, uh, a new thing. Not always is or some recruits okay with the new vibe. I think Lincoln Riley has a better shot at the new vibe considering he's already had that wave of young, fresh type of talent that he's been working with. I mean, his recruiting at Oklahoma was ridiculous with a bunch of 5 stars and no defense. So that's a perfect situation with Marcus Freeman and you recruit worldly. I mean, I don't know how many Germans and Chinese players and all type of players all around the world we're gonna be getting and Canadians we're gonna be looking after. But I think Marcus Freeman has a harder job in the recruiting landscape, just covering all the bases. But it starts with your position coaches. So, one step at a time. I think the position coaches is something to look at. But the spring is a great test run to get some of the big things that you want to get out of the way, and that's the quarterback and moving forward.
All right. Lionel Andrews, shout out to you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Why go to a coach that didn't even recruit you? Good luck starting over with his guys. Let me this you can talk about this. Notre Dame is in a sticky situation, right? Because Notre Dame is on the cusp of being like an elite level program, right behind the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Ohio States, and they need difference makers. And the difference makers know that they can go to a program like Notre Dame that's stock is going up, rising. But the truth of the matter is, guys in Florida and guys in California grow up wanting to play at local schools. Like that's where their heart is.
Yeah.
Like, yo, CJ grew up. He said his first visit was from a coach at UCLA. And then his favorite school is USC. And modern day has been a pipeline straight to USC.
Yeah.
I mean, Bryce Young would have gone to USC if it wasn't for the culture. And CJ Williams said that the culture has been bad, and Lincoln Riley said he's about to change the culture. And I'm interested in that. And it's the same thing with Devin Moore down in Florida. Yeah, he decommitted because his heart. And when you hear guys say like the back of my mind, guys like Devin Moore and CJ Williams, what they're really saying is, man, I really didn't want to go to Notre Dame, but it was the best option. Like I never really wanted to go to Notre Dame, but the way things have played out and with all the local schools being down and not the culture being bad, it was the best option. And now things have changed. Billy Napier's at Florida. He
Yeah,
sees
and that's
promise in
just
the
and
difference in
that's
culture.
something that you got to deal with, man. That's
Yeah,
like you got to be a certain type of recruit to want to go to Notre Dame because it's
facts.
such a out of the blue, a hard choice to make because you really like going to boarding school. Like going to that Harry Potter type school is different. You go into a different landscape. So guys from California, guys from Florida, guys that come from Florida to Notre Dame are different guys as well. These aren't the guys you see at Florida and the guys you see at Miami. These are guys that are thinking different. So that's one of the complications that Notre Dame, which has had even before Brian Kelly, which Brian Kelly kind of like got it all kind of together. But in the midst of figuring it out, I mean, with Charlie Wise era, I mean, we didn't have the Alabama recruits of today either.
Yeah.
That's it's still a hard thing to really come about. So for Marcus Freeman, I think he loses some of that stability from a lot of these top recruits who are used to um, that stability that we talked about from a guy that they know. All right, I look at his resume. He got 15,000 NFL guys he done sent to the league. I got a good chance. Marcus Freeman is like, okay, I'm excited, but do I want to put my career at the hands of a new head coach? I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know. So it'll be interesting to see how much support the university has behind Marcus Freeman, knowing that when you're getting off of a 12-year, you've been dating a girl for 12 years, and then you start dating a new girl. I mean, it's gonna take some time. I mean, it's gonna be a lot of memories that you're
have
gonna
to get
have.
to know each other.
Yeah, so some things that the old girlfriend used to do, the new girlfriend might not do, and so we'll see the reaction. We don't want to see it go revert back to maybe we should have been picked different. So
Yeah, it's
it'll be
cool
good to see. Yeah.
as long as Jack Swarbrick isn't calling him Brian by mistake. That's the worst thing you could do. It's
Yeah,
called it's
don't call
called the
him
new
Brian
girl,
by
the ex
mistake.
girl's name. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be calling out the ex girl's name in the wrong situation.
Yeah, this is that make it worse. Don't do that.
Lucky Lovely Podcast. Shaun Davis with my guy Malik Zaire. We'll be with you just a little bit longer, talking about what's going on with the wide receiver position, recruiting, retention, development. And development has been a problem as well. It's been well chronicled. We talked about this on Irish Breakdown with our guys that when Chase Claypool came back, and Chris Fink talked about this, like coming back to the pro days and just sharing with some of the other players like everything he's learned like in the first couple of weeks of camp with the Pittsburgh Steelers that he never learned in 4 years at Notre Dame at the from the position coach. So it makes you question like, yo, what's being taught? Like, yo, so do we need like a Brian Hartline type to come down? Somebody that's actually played the game at a high level that can come down and teach how to release and how to stay confident and not to allow defensive backs to take you out of your game. Your mental approach, all the things we saw Kevin Austin struggle with early in the season, but eventually, he realized like I'm the big dude out here. So let me go ahead and dictate to these defensive backs what's going to happen on this football field today. So, it's just a question that Searcher Green Nine said Freeman going to make the same mistake that Kelly made and keep underperforming coaches on staff too long. Well, he wasn't about to make staff changes going into the bowl game, but we'll see. Like he's on the clock, January 2nd. He's on the clock with his
Yeah,
staff.
for one, he's never been a head coach, so we don't know what he's going to do in terms of hiring or firing coaches. But like you said, I mean, at this point, you got to just keep everything intact as best you can because you still got to win a pretty big game
Right.
against an opponent that's not Kansas. This is actually a good opponent that we should win, considering how we're built right now. But it's still, you never know with a new head coach. So if we already talking about he about to make the same mistakes and he ain't coached a week yet, it's gonna be
He
a
ain't coached
long
it.
ride.
He hasn't had a chance to fill out his staff. I'm like, it's a little bit of overreaction. Like his overreaction to his first press conference. Marcus was just, being transparent and allow people to like enjoy, the process he's going through. And you have fans like, oh my God, he doesn't know where to be in the practice. Like, relax.
Just
Relax.
let it look. Yeah, I'm telling you, when you've been dating a girl for 12 years, the chicken may not be cooked the same.
Man,
You're
you
ready to
used
throw
to,
a fit. You got to
right.
remember this is new now. This is new. You had Thai chicken before. This is some good seasoned chicken.
Next question, comment, Coach Malone. So does Freeman make a push to get Kevin Austin and Avery Davis to say? I'll let you go ahead because what I say might be controversial.
I think Marcus Freeman got to get his guys in. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if Kevin Austin and Avery want to stay, then that's great. You helping the cause, but I don't think Marcus Freeman should be thinking like, oh, I need to hold on to guys that's not buying in right now. You need guys that are buying in because if not, he's got a job to do to get his guys in there as well. Get that Brian Kelly stink out of there, and get some new freshness in there. So I hope those guys stay. I think Kevin Austin obviously has a tough decision to make, being slotted on the receiver list, but this is a good receiver class as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he decides. I think what Kyron and Kyle did was decisive and was a good move for everybody, for the team. I think them staying would obviously help, but them leaving was, I think, a greater benefit and made it easier for Marcus
Yeah.
Freeman to start working his roots on younger guys.
I don't want Avery Davis back. And see, this is part of the problem, man. Notre Dame, we fall in love. We fall in love with players. They become the people's champ. It's like, yo, if Avery Davis stays, he takes snaps from Deion Cozy.
Yep.
And then Deion Cozy ends up transferring. It's like, no. Let him, like, yo, I appreciate everything you did. I hate the way it ended. Transfer, go somewhere else.
I mean,
Get
Avery
your
came in as a quarterback, so
snap. Exactly. So,
let's get a bona fide receiver.
man, put Deion Cozy and Lorenzo Styles Jr. out there with Kevin Austin next year, and then Jaden Thomas, and get the new recruits in, and let's rock and roll, man. Let's rock and roll. Hopefully, we hold on to a Morion Walker and Tobias Merriweather. That's your six. If you want to bring in a transfer to add depth, I'm all for that. But it's like,
I do think transfers are a good way to kind of ease the groove. Jack Cohn a great was a great opportunity for us to ease that uncertainty in the season
yeah,
because he's such a seasoned veteran. For us, I think it would be good to do that as well, especially at the receiver position. I think it's worked out even with the kid that's playing in Los Angeles with Ben. But I think a receiver that's experienced and that's been in the transfer portal, he's an older guy, would be good for a team like Notre Dame as a receiver to be a good leader in that room until we figure out a coach or a bona fide guy that's developed to take it over. I mean, a guy like a Jameson Williams wouldn't be bad.
yeah. He were Irish, a head coach, and other coaches can't do their own jobs that they have to hold Dale's hand. CJ verbal commits since August, and within 36 hours of commitment day, recruit decommits. Well, it's not really within 36 hours. Like, he was already thinking about decommitting. This has been like weeks.
I would say
Weeks.
36 hours because Lincoln Riley got there. Lincoln Riley plays a factor, guys. Like
Yeah. If Lincoln Riley doesn't end up at USC, he's
CJ's
probably
not thinking
still in
about
the
it.
fold. Yeah. So it's not like Notre Dame didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
People
we've
have to
seen we've
realize,
seen we've seen a staff do it wrong to Urban Meyer.
right,
Urban Meyer's staff is that's the staff that's doing it wrong.
right.
Let's see what Marcus Freeman puts together, and I think we'll get a better result.
Yeah, Notre Dame didn't do anything wrong. Dale Alexander actually got him to commit. It's just that, look, Notre Dame is in a difficult position. And I know we hate to hear this because we're Irish fans. Marcus Freeman said it. I think I have the clip. Let's see if we have the clip here. I think this is from his press conference. This is the clip. I think this is where he's talking about the type of guys to get to Notre
Well,
Dame.
I think it starts with we're going to recruit at the highest level. And we're going to recruit the best football players in the country that fit Notre Dame. And you're not going to change the standards at Notre Dame. But there are certain players out there that fit Notre Dame that they might not know. And so our job as a coaching staff is to be able to communicate with these young people what Notre Dame can do for your life. And that's what I plan on doing.
Yo, let me tell you something, man. If CJ Williams, I'm glad he had the come to Jesus moment. Because it's like, if you didn't want to really be here, don't come.
Yeah, this is a
Like,
perfect
don't
time.
make a decision because it's like it's the shortest midget in the room.
Yeah,
Like, oh, well, USC stinks. UCLA is mid. So I guess I'll go to Notre Dame. No, we don't need you that bad. It's not that serious.
yeah, we need diehard Notre Dame for now.
You,
No, we that's a good thing with Marcus Freeman being there too. He gets to clear house a little bit.
yeah,
Get all those recruits that were just I'm in it for the fame type of people and get guys that see the program for what it is and like Marcus Freeman, their families. like Marcus Freeman. You know, I love the little pictures he be putting up of guys in his office. So when I see the family pictures with the coach, I think that's a something that Marcus Freeman can get behind. He's not really thinking of a C.J. Williams that's on the fence like that. 'Cause he's trying to circle the wagons and get a strong core, especially in recruiting going into these bowl games
Yeah.
that can stem a great spring that he's looking forward to.
Byron McIntyre. Can't believe this. Our wide receiver room is just torn up in recruiting once again. It's like Groundhog Day. Hey, man, I feel you. I feel you. But as Malik pointed out, it's really connective tissue because the wide receiver situation is directly connected to the quarterback situation. Like
I'm directly tying it to Tommy. This is a great. People are not putting a perspective on how important Tommy is, being almost the second head of the team, being the offensive coordinator. Because you got to think these kids thinking about, do I want to play for Tommy Rees too? You know, they're looking at it. How are they giving Kevin Austin the ball right now? Is that enough for a guy that's thinking like a Theo Weiss or you got your top receivers out there today that are like, do I fit in a structure like that? Do I get the ball enough like that? Or do I have to wait behind Kyron? Or do I have to wait behind a Michael Mayer? So Tommy Rees, this bowl game can tell a lot of what these recruits will see in their future at that receiver position. But until you get a great position coach that's flashy or a flashy offense or a superstar quarterback, you know, it's gonna be hard to catch a superstar receiver in that same aspect.
Yeah, and as far as the 2023 class, this is the difference, bro. Right? Malik Elzy, Chicago kid, Simeon vocational. You know, Simeon is just not a basketball school. They put out athletes that play football as well. So Malik Elzy was in South Bend. You know, he tweeted out, "Yo, how do I look in the uniform?" Everybody loved it. Chicago kid, Cardell Tate, even though he's at IMG, Chicago kid, went to Marist, a Catholic school in Chicago. Those two guys, four-star recruits at wide receiver from the class of 2023, Notre Dame won't have that problem that they have with a Devin Moore, C.J. Williams. This is your backyard. So the cold doesn't affect them. You don't have to worry about them getting lonely. They can drive home. It's like a quick trip to go see their family. Their family can come see them. So some of the issues that might come up with trying to pull a modern day kid away from USC or Devin Moore away from Florida, when you go after those type of guys, you won't have that problem. So Malik Elzy has Notre Dame in the lead, more than likely. Alabama and some of the Southern schools are making a push, but Notre Dame is more than likely where he's going to end up. And Cardell Tate has been kind of like forecasted for Notre Dame recently, and he might sign with them tomorrow as well. So,
and that's a great point, and that's a really great point. You know, I think when you're talking about this Marcus Freeman move and what direction he heads in recruiting, I think starting small and building it like the Midwest kind of structure it is a great place.
Yeah.
You think about Brian Kelly that's been doing it for 12 years in one place. He had to start recruiting around the world because his effect wasn't as strong where he was next door. He had to go out to California and get guys like that. So now maybe the strength of the recruiting is in the Midwest, is around Notre Dame, because not only do you get a stronger loyalty, like you said, family can see him a lot, but also Marcus Freeman has a Midwest effect too. He's had some Ohio State type of influence in recruiting. He's got some Cincinnati influence in recruiting. Those are some grittier type of guys, and you know, you build a team that's central to what the schedule is. We're not affected by the cold. You're not affected in the heat. You know, you're a bigger team since you're getting Midwest guys. You're not skinny like the Pac-12. You know, usually has some guys like so. Maybe we do get a Big Ten base team, but with a few different flavors around the country.
Yo, Ohio gave you Lorenzo Styles Jr. Like there are playmakers in Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, the surrounding areas. You know, Chris Olsen just checked in on a kid from Kankakee, Illinois. That's a 4-star defensive back. Kid runs a 10-2.
Yeah.
You know, one state in the 100, I believe, or the 200. I forget which one it was. down in Kankakee. So you have talent around here, and it's time to let's circle the wagons. Let's reestablish our recruiting plan. Because what Marcus Freeman just said, we're gonna go get guys that fit Notre Dame.
Yeah.
All right.
And the best thing to do it is get guys that at least get it on their TV every day.
Yes.
At least got the stores filled with a couple flags here and there. So I think that's where you start. I mean, you get a guy like Lorenzo Styles in Ohio. The narrative you got to go to California, Texas, and Florida isn't as true because another thing about the Midwest, you're gonna get you some linemen.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're gonna win in recruiting over a USC. We may not get a CJ Williams that's great on the internet,
Yep.
but we may get a couple of linemen that we can develop. Get a couple of Lorenzo Styles that you really haven't heard of, but he loves the program, and we can really push out some wins. But you still have to get that quarterback. So I think he'll have a good time culling the fat, getting to like you said, circling the wagons, and if you just work on that quarterback, that'll help a lot in recruiting as well.
Yo, the quarterback you need is right up the road in Detroit.
In the Midwest. Tell you what, he's right there.
He plays in the cold. So once again, it's a must get. And like you said, Mike Elston now, it seems like, he's understood. Let me go work this Atlantic area. Let me work this Midwest to go get these impact defensive linemen. You know what I'm saying? Because he was out in DC all last week looking at Jason Moore, Nicholas Harbor, Dio Avery, Devon Houston, all these guys at ESPN 300 defensive linemen, and they're all within 30 minutes of each other on the Eastern Coast, because it's difficult to go to SEC country and get the big boys to leave and come up to Notre Dame. You have to have special guys like a Lewis Nix, like a Stephon Tuitt, that want to be at Notre Dame, and those don't happen. I mean, it might be 3 or 4 years before you get a guy like that.
Yeah, if you start winning, it'll get some guys, but from a spending all your time down there, probably not worth it as much.
Yeah, because in that same class with Stephon Tuitt, you got an Aaron Lynch, who's the total opposite side of that. He was a guy that was homesick from the jump, talking about he was missing his girlfriend. Man, come on, man. Go back to Florida.
That's not a Marcus Freeman recruit, though. I don't see guys that he's recruiting are even that tight, even if they are really good.
And this is something else, man. These recruits, these kids, don't be sensitive. You're in the era of social media. Don't say respect my decision. Look, man.
Nobody really cares, for real.
Yeah, nobody cares. It's your decision, but then people have the right to be upset. Respect my decision.
Yeah, if you put it out there, somebody's gonna talk about it. So that's just how the internet works. And secondly, we don't even care because you ain't at the school, you ain't in any school yet, so you're not affecting nobody.
You're not affecting anybody, man. So let's see. Anthony Solomon, Rees will need to show a more diverse offense featuring wide receivers to dispel the narrative that Notre Dame is only focused on running backs and tight ends. Indeed, must recruit more quarterbacks like TB, Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady wasn't all of that in college. Or maybe he's talking about Tyler Buckner. I'm bugging.
Man, I don't know how you got Tom Brady. That's a Michigan guy, too.
Yeah, I said when TB, you automatically think about Tom Brady. And I forgot Tyler Buckner was his own TB, or the other younger version of TB12, shall I say, for Notre Dame.
I'm thinking Tim Brown, go Irish.
Man, we're going to get ready to close up here, man. We just had to really talk about what's going on in the wide receiver room and get you guys in here. Rob Tidoff, what's up, my man? Thanks for checking in. Is it possible for Coach Freeman to get Brian Hartline as wide receiver coach from OSU? So here's my intel. Okay. Yesterday, before Sunday Night Football, Jason Lockenford broke news that Trace Armstrong, who is the second in command at CAA under Jimmy Sexton and is the direct connect to coaches like Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, Jimbo Fisher, and Ryan Day. It was rumored, not even rumored, it was pretty much reported that Trace Armstrong, who is a former defensive end from Florida, first-round pick, and also played with the Bears for 9 seasons in the NFL, has a great relationship with the McCaskies. He has had discussions to either become the president of football operations or general manager for the Chicago Bears. And Jason Lockenford said he is going or looking to bring Ryan Day with him. That was reported late yesterday. Of course, Trace Armstrong went on social media to dispel the rumor. He has to. Why? Because Matt Nagy is his client as well. So you don't want that rumor out there, like when your client is the current head coach, and there's a rumor out there saying you're bringing another one of your clients in with you when you take the job as general manager. It's not a good look. So I totally understand why Trace Armstrong tried to go out there and put that fire out. But usually where there's smoke, there's fire. Ryan Day has been the hot rumor around the Bears. They've already started their coaching search. They're reaching out. Their number one candidate is Sean Payton. That's the guy they want. Illinois guy, played football in Illinois. He's a Chicago kid, played football Eastern Illinois. They want Sean Payton. I don't know what picks and everything else as far as compensation they would have to give up to the Saints to get him. That's a long shot in my opinion. But the guy that has been the talk of the town has been Ryan Day coming to Chicago Bears in one way or another. So if Ryan Day goes to the Chicago Bears, Brian Hartline to Notre Dame might have legs.
Yeah, I mean, we depend everything on Brian Hartline to change it, then that's a good hire if all those dominoes fall. I think Coach Freeman still, man, is a first year. He's going to be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
This is one of the many challenges he's going to face, but I think the best way to start is get a great quarterback. That's every head coach. Lincoln Riley, that's how he got hot in college football, start getting a great quarterback and everything else fell in place.
Yeah, like you said, it starts with the first game. Like, yo, let's see how this team looks. Marcus Freeman has already changed up the way they practice. He's put in more one-on-ones at the beginning of practice. You know what? Talk about that. What was bowl preparation under Brian Kelly like? Because the first reports of the first 2 practices is like competitive, out the jump, one-on-ones to begin practice, and it's something that team hasn't done over the last 2 or 3 seasons to start a practice.
I mean, bowl game practice, we really chilling, man. Let the young guys get in there, get some reps, do some walkthroughs, you get to start a late practice, you just do some stretching, so you definitely, I expect Marcus Freeman to do a lot different considering, you got to win this game.
Right.
I think we've got, when you dating that girl for 12 years, you going to the same restaurants, you know how to surprise her on her birthday. So for big events, you kind of know the routine because you know what she likes. So
yeah.
In this case, when you date the new girl, you got to take her somewhere fun. You might have to go to an amusement park. You got to do some things to pizzazz and catch the interest of the team. So that's all we're doing right now. We just finding new ways to spark a relationship with Marcus Freeman and the team, and so a lot more one-on-ones, competitive stuff, the stuff guys like to do.
Yeah.
That's gonna get their interest and get them hyped for this game. Because the whole goal is to not come out flat. You don't want to come out flat as a first-time head coach, and I think doing that style of practice will be helpful for that. And it's a good way of saying this is how I'm different at least.
It was at Real Sports Talk with Alex at Malik. Love the way you play at Notre Dame. Do you think ND will be okay still wide receiver wise? I guess you can answer that for the bowl game and then going into next season.
We're gonna be straight because we're still Notre Dame, so we're getting guys that are semi-comparable. We're just considering these guys compared to Ohio State's receiver room, Alabama's receiver room. So if we talk a lot about that comparison, but that's what we're trying to get to. But if we fall short of that, we're still better than 90% of the receiver rooms out there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if things change with recruiting and new head coach, and we'll see how Marcus Freeman goes from there. But for this bowl game, I think we'll be fine. It's not like we lost Kyron, but we didn't lose any receivers. So we still got Jack Cohn and Michael Mayer, so we'll be good on that end. Kevin Austin's still going to be there. And then next season moving forward, I think either cleaning house if Avery decides to leave and Kevin decides to leave. We got Styles that got some time last year and some guys getting in there. We'll see a young group, but this is a fresh group. Maybe it'll be a good change for Tyler Buckner to change his style of play as well.
So I see a lot of comments, like, look, I'm not saying I don't want Avery Davis on the team. That's not what I'm saying. If we're talking about changing narratives and not holding on to guys just because we like them, like, I would much rather have Deion Cozy getting snaps than to have him taking Avery Davis taking snaps away from him. Because if Kevin Austin returns, that's one outside guy. Lorenzo Styles Jr. is on the other outside.
Yeah.
Okay, now who's in the slot? Because Jaden Thomas, according to reports, is doing his thing. Right? So Jaden Thomas is the first man off the bench in the bowl game. So he's a twisted ankle away from getting his opportunity in the bowl game.
That's right.
And you want him to go into next season sitting on the side, not getting the reps he needs to get better, not getting the attempts and the targets? Why? To bring back Avery Davis, it's like, all right, cool. Like, it would be nice to have him on the team, but it's like we keep talking about the future. Let's go to the future. Okay. You have this,
you got a new head coach.
This quartet of young receivers, move to the future with them.
This is what this year should have been built off of. We should have been playing these younger guys anyway.
Facts.
And we've been saying that because, for situations like these, we knew we were going to have to play younger guys eventually.
Yeah.
But if we were doing that this whole season, I think a lot of what these decisions made now wouldn't be made if that progress took place.
Yeah.
I think Avery probably would have been gone earlier or something. Things would have been a lot more decided by now.
I got Eugene Williams always checking in with us. He said, I'm heated, fam. Sorry, I'm late.
Don't be heated. You want guys that want to play, especially for a new head coach. You don't want no guys on the fence right now.
Yeah.
Especially in a time like this. We trying to play Ohio State first game. We got to come out right.
Yeah, in fact, John A1 indeed now has to recruit Austin, Lindsey, and Davis to stay in 2022. Heck, I forgot about Braden Lindsey. That's more stats. That's more reason for Avery Davis. Like, if you bring Avery Davis back and you have Austin, Lindsey, Davis, Cozy, and Styles Jr., I guarantee you Jaden Thomas is transferring.
This is where Coach Kelly comes in great, though, because he cold-blooded with it. He'll just kind of force you out.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you cannot expect in today's college football with the transfer portal the way it is, kids are not about to sit around for 2 seasons waiting for an opportunity. So you hear this kid is lighting it up in practice for the bowl game, and then you bring him to the spring, and all of a sudden in fall camp, he's 6th on the depth chart. Nah. No. And then you're upset when you see Jaden Thomas has entered the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's popular to get in there now, so you really got to toe that line on being honest with these kids. Am I going to play?
Yeah. That's facts. Welling Jeremy, Freeman is a smart man. I think so, too. Brian Kahn says, get Tim Brown involved with the receivers.
Them kids don't know no Tim Brown.
What did you say?
Them kids don't know Tim Brown and be like, man, I want to go there because of Tim.
Well, that's an indictment, dude, because Tim Brown should be around the program.
He should be.
Joe Montana should be around the program. You know what I mean?
He should be.
That's a card you pull out your pocket on a recruiting weekend. Like,
yeah.
Yo.
You get on Steve Angeli to get his receiver. Start recruiting his receivers, man.
Matthew Hader says, Shaun, why you repping the LA hat tonight of all nights? It matched my outfit, man. Like, I didn't know the kid was gonna decommit today, man.
That's all gravy.
Hey.
We don't want kids that don't want to be here.
Hey, you have to. Like I said, they have their eyes set and they're in really good position with Carnell Tate and Malik Elsie.
Yeah,
Really good position. And those are two kids that would fit Notre Dame because they're Midwest kids. They're used to the culture. They know what it's like to play in cold weather. Like if you go to Simeon, by the time it hits October, like your games as a wide receiver is 40 degrees. So playing in Notre Dame is not a problem.
right.
It's not a problem. No one can negative recruit, with weather. When you're a kid from Chicago, or generally when you're a kid from the Midwest, because half of your games, or at least the last month of your games, are in the cold.
Yeah, yeah. So recruiting smarter, not harder. That's the goal.
Ty B said everyone's shooting at Dell because CJ decommitment, but for me, it's the lack of development in the wide receivers and all the transfers. Well, dude, we touched on that. We went down his resume from 2018, 19, and 20, and the inability to retain wide receivers in the class and develop. It's just not good, man. And hopefully Marcus Freeman sees that, and as much as he might like Dell, he realizes that things could change. Carnell Tate could be. I said he could be announced.
I don't think he'll be preemptive to make a change at that position without something happening. I think something would have to happen for him to make that change from a clear coaching standpoint. Yeah, for Dale, it would have to be like a receivers dropping every pass or something for him to really make that change. I don't think a decommitment would sway him to reconsider necessarily.
Man, Searcher Green in the comments said that Amorion Walker just posted on Instagram, posting himself in a Kansas State uniform on Instagram.
Well, if you want to go to Kansas State, go to Kansas State. Ain't nobody.
If you want to choose Kansas State over Notre Dame,
we'll probably never see him. We'll probably never play him anyway.
See, this is right. This is perfect. It's perfect, bro. Perfect. So we can just lay it out, right?
Yeah.
What it's like being Notre Dame. Like you date a girl, right? And so you catch her out one weekend and she's with this lame dude.
Yeah, lame dude. Yeah, it's like, go ahead. Ain't nobody worried about
like, word? Like it makes you laugh.
We're not sweating that. We're not sweating that.
Like, man, it's different. Like with CJ, because CJ is like, okay, you out with the West
okay,
Coast.
you got I see her in the magazine before. Okay, all right,
for sure.
Yeah,
like, okay, shit,
yeah, okay, you
okay. Kansas State, like, come on, man.
It's like, man, you must have just won a good time or something. You ain't really serious about nothing, man.
Like, matter of fact, you walk up to the table like Tay Diggs and Brown Sugar, like, yo, what's up? Cassie meeting you here.
This you? This what you rocking with?
Right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, we don't run from that. Matter of fact, all the Notre Dame fans should run to his Instagram right now. Like, yo, you look real nice.
Yeah, you look good in that uniform, man.
Man, you look dope in that uniform. You look
Wildcat.
You rocking that. You rocking
you
that.
You a wildcat, man. You a wildcat, man.
Like, enjoy Manhattan. Do your thing. Come on, man. You want to flirt with Kansas State?
Yeah, you a wildcat. You wildcat.
Matt Anderson, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but what if Indy gets blown out in the bowl game? That would just add one more major bowl they lose since 1993 too. I'm willing to put some money down with you, Matt.
I don't think we get blown out. Even if we would lose, I don't think we get blown out.
Yeah. Blown out is nah.
A lot would have to go wrong. I think it would be harder for us to
play. The defense would have to play god awful. Like the defense will keep them in the game. I'm not worried about that. Oklahoma State has a good defense too, so
it's not going to be I don't see them scoring 40 points on us, no crazy stuff like that.
And Spencer Sanders is
Yeah, like we talking about Spencer Sanders, not Spencer Rattler.
right. Spencer Sanders is not good.
He's not putting 45 on Notre Dame.
No. Brian Kahn says, go get you a 10-2 dude and teach him how to catch.
That's Kevin Austin. Big, tall, fast dude. Just, hey, go up.
Oh, this is for you, bro. This is from the show earlier today. We put the question out there. They want you to answer. Best concert you ever attended? Because we were talking about how dope Rolling Loud was.
Yeah, I actually went to Rolling Loud too. The best concert I ever went to was probably the Lollapalooza in Chicago.
What I tell? Hold on. I tried to tell, bro.
Hold on.
Just admit. Just admit. I told everybody that watched this morning. I'm like, yo, Chicago.
Yeah. From a good vibe.
From July to August, that whole festival season in Chicago,
it's real nice.
It's second to none.
Second to none. You gotta go. If you haven't gone, you gotta go.
Lollapalooza is at this point it's just too many people for me, man.
It gets deep.
Yeah.
But I like Chicago though, and where it's at and how it's set up, it's a good setup for me.
Did you pay?
No, I had got some tickets from,
Okay, I was about to say, like I tell people all the time, if you don't know how to sneak into Lollapalooza, then you're not doing it right.
Chicago is a big city, man. It's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. So
there's always a way in. Always. You gotta know somebody. That's all. All right. That was your best concert? Let's see. Angel Flores.
Yeah, tomorrow, man.
Say it again. You broke up a little bit. There's dudes that commit, they can't get into ND because grades. That's all. The dude goes to modern day. I doubt very seriously that grades is an issue. Like
that grades, you gotta go out the window. I mean, how many years you gonna stick on that grades? Grades, right now. Let's just see how Green falls out and good players are gonna come. Obviously, good players gotta be smart. So, I think he's running the same. And if Notre Dame want to play, it's gonna get it.
yeah. Hey, bro, see if you can reconnect because, like, your phone is breaking up the audio. See if you can reconnect. We'll let him reconnect. Let's see. Seth Clark, Shaun, the Avery Davis thing is about the wide receiver room numbers. How many you need? Like, if he's back, that's 7 wide receivers. Like, no. You got 6, and then you have more coming in with the class. No, I don't want Avery Davis taking snaps from young receivers. I just don't. I love him. It would be sentimental for him to come back and be in the room. Is he coming back? Avery Davis is not coming back to sit on the bench and mentor guys. If he comes back, they're going to put him in a slot. He's going to take reps from wide receivers that need to get out there and get better and have opportunities. Point blank. So if you're asking me whether or not I want to lose 2 years of Jaden Thomas to have him come back for a 6th year, give me the 2 years of Jaden Thomas over a 6-year Avery Davis. It's simple for me. And I love Avery Davis. But at some point, you got to change the narrative and allow these young wide receivers to see that they're going to get an opportunity and they're not going to be put behind these veterans the way Brian Kelly used to do it. It's like, I understand the love, but at some point, you just got to let go. You got to let go. Matthew Southgate, thank you. I do agree. Dale has to prove he can keep these guys in the wide receiver room and get that talent on the field. Let's wait and see again. We are consistently in the top 10. We are doing something right. Wholeheartedly. I agree with that. Matthew, hey, we straight up receiver next year, especially if K4 stays. Tobias is better than CJ anyway. That I agree with, Matthew. I do like Tobias Merriweather's tape better than CJ. CJ was pretty much, and talking to Brian Driscoll offline today, CJ was really going to be in the slot, and that's a big dude to be in the slot. Big dude. Yeah, Joe Montana needs to get over Nick Montana. His son wasn't that good. Period. Get over it. Like, dude, you're one of the biggest NFL stars and Hall of Famers from the university. This university and the education set you up to be out there making the money you're making. And Joe Montana is making ridiculous money right now through his company. I think he just cleared, and this year I think he just cleared something like 19. No, let me take that back. Something like 9 billion. It's something ridiculous that his company just cleared this year out there in Silicon Valley. So he's out there doing big things, and Notre Dame and the education and the connections have something to do with that. So he needs to let that go. Nick Montana didn't exactly do anything when he transferred. So yeah, he let that go. 2022 class isn't great. Good class, not elite. It's all right, Sid Irish. I kind of believe, I can rock with that. I said this earlier on the show today when we talked about Kyron and Kyle leaving early. 2023, if they can line up the offensive side of the ball to be, it doesn't have to be the same. If it can be anywhere close to what they already have defensively in the class now, adding Justin Redd, over the weekend, I'm telling you, and the kid from South, I actually love the tape of the kid from St. Louis better than I like Justin Redd. I talked about that this morning as well. So, if they can, go out there, add Elzy, add Carnell Tate, get you 2 Midwest wide receivers, go get Dante Moore. Boom. Once you get Dante Moore, everybody else, all the dominoes will fall. Because everybody is like, I want to play with him. I want to play with this dude. Jeffrey Hudgen, thank you so much. Love this podcast more every time I watch and listen. We appreciate you. Sid Irish, CJ is soft. Man, look. He plays at a school every week where they're just better than everybody they play. So we'll see how he progresses. Matthew Sackett, love this cast. It's dope. Consistent, solid information, little bias. Spitting facts. We are indeed, no doubt. Not so Angeli will even play at Indy. That's you know what? Honestly, yeah, he might hit that transfer portal for real. Yeah. Told you, Eugene. Lala is that festival, man. If you haven't been to Lollapalooza in Chicago, man, make it your bucket list because it is a fantastic time. And see, Antoine Porsche Rideau. Yo, I love the way your last name is spelled. Like, man, I love the whole Rideau, Bordeaux. I love that. If CJ commits to USC because Lincoln Riley's the new coach, doesn't make sense since he never recruited CJ at Oklahoma. I think you jumped in late. It's not about the connective tissue with receivers going to certain universities. Alabama gets receivers because of the quarterbacks they recruit. Plain and simple. USC back in the day got receivers because of the quarterbacks they had. And it's the same thing. The quarterback room has been suspect at Notre Dame. So there's no connective tissue to get the best receivers and keep the best receivers, or for high school kids to say, I want to come play. So Lincoln Riley has never recruited CJ Williams, but he goes to USC and all of a sudden the best quarterback in California commits. So who do you think CJ wants to play with? The best quarterback that he's watched as a prep star in California. Has nothing to do with him being recruited by Lincoln Riley. He knows Malachi Nelson. He knows what he can do. And he's like, yo, that's the dude I want throwing to me in high school. It's plain and simple. And it sucks, but that's what needs to be established at Notre Dame, and that's the pressure that's honestly on Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees has the unenviable task of changing the narrative surrounding Notre Dame, getting a big-time quarterback, and allowing that to be the draw for tight ends, offensive linemen, wide receivers, and offensive linemen come to Notre Dame regardless. But when you have big-time quarterbacks, it changes everything in recruiting. Everything. No, Malik wasn't on the next tail collection. I don't know what happened, man. All of a sudden, his audio was really good, and then all of a sudden it just went. If he doesn't reconnect, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I agree with you, Anthony, man. Yo. Coleman Smith, I love Jaden Thomas, Shaun, but Avery Davis is a baller. And if we're being honest, he gives us a spark that Lindsey never gave us like he was supposed to. Look, man, y'all can bring him back. I'm telling you what's about to happen. Y'all want to keep doing the same thing over again, playing these veterans and taking reps from the youngsters. And when Jaden Thomas enters the transfer portal after fall camp, and we're going to be right back here doing a podcast, and everybody's going to be mad. Man, why didn't Jaden Thomas leave? He doesn't want to compete. No, he doesn't want to sit around for 2 years in the current conditions of college football. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. He's been killing in practice. He's killing in practice in the bowl games. And you want him to sit and wait because Avery Davis came back? Nah, it's not fair. And then the fan base is going to be upset with him because he wants to go find a place where he can get playing time. It doesn't have to sit and wait and not get caught in the numbers. Nah. You got to learn to move on, man. You got to learn to move on. I'm sure people at Ohio State are like, man, I wish Jameson Williams had stuck around. Dude, are you kidding me? You got 3 first, second round wide receivers. It would have been nice for Jameson Williams to be the 4th receiver, but guess what? He left. And I don't think Avery Davis is one of because he's a spark. He's not a first, second round receiver. It'd be different if you were talking about bringing back a guy that's like very similar to Kevin Austin. He's a slot receiver. He is a technician. He runs routes very well. That's what he does. But would you choose him or Lorenzo Styles? Would you choose him or Kevin Austin next year? At best, he's going to be your 3rd or 4th receiver. At best. Jaden Thomas can do that. So are you going to sacrifice 2 to 3 more seasons of Jaden Thomas just to bring him back for a 6th season coming off an ACL? I mean, it's a tough choice. I'm not willing to sacrifice in current conditions with a transfer portal the way it is. I'm not sacrificing my youngsters at the wide receiver position to appease a 6-year player. I'm just not doing that. And it has nothing to do with how I feel about Avery Davis. Personally, I'm not doing it. If he chooses to come back, I'm sure Notre Dame will take him back. I don't want him back if he's taking reps from the youngsters. I just don't. What's up, bro?
They on you real tough about the Avery Davis take.
Yeah, dude. Look, man. It's like we keep banging our head against the wall looking for a different outcome. Right?
People keep forgetting Avery Davis was a quarterback commit. It's okay. We can get rid of our Taysom Hill if he doesn't want to be there. I think, like you said, those young guys with this transfer portal being such a prominent thing, a guy jumping that thing at any moment. At any moment. So we don't want to jeopardize hanging on the guys that are on the fence. And I think it's okay to move on. Avery Davis done graduated. I think he's had a great transformation from where he started to where he's at right now. And maybe a fresh start somewhere else is something that he can probably get more of. I think we've seen lots of guys
I don't know.
do that.
Yeah. Matthew Southgate said, I disagree. Look at the past 10 years. How many elite quarterbacks win the Natty? Alabama does not have elite quarterbacks that get guys that fit. Wait a minute. Are we talking about elite quarterbacks in college, or are you trying to like look at them on the NFL? Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson were elite quarterbacks. They got national championships, right?
Jameis, Cam, Mac
I
Jones,
don't do.
Joe
I don't
Burrow.
name me the non-elite quarterback in college that won a national championship.
Yeah, I can't even.
You have to go back to like Alabama when they ran the ball and had AJ McCarron.
And AJ McCarron is still in the league right now.
So it's like AJ McCarron was a really good. Mac Jones was an elite college quarterback. He beat out the Heisman Award winner last year.
I don't really know what these people are referring to, but
I mean, maybe they're talking about NFL elite quarterback. But last I checked,
Alabama's last 3 are in the NFL starting.
It goes back to our point. Wide receivers want to go to schools that have elite quarterbacks.
Bryce Young just won the Heisman at Alabama.
And Lincoln Riley has what, 3 Heisman Award winners as quarterbacks, or is it 2?
Yeah,
like there's a reason wide receivers go to certain schools. The top ones. And the only school I think that bucks the trend is LSU.
Joe Burrow won a championship, and look at Joe Burrow leading them Bengals.
Yeah, but even before Joe Burrow, they were able to put out,
Ryan Perilou. Remember Ryan Perilou?
Come on, fam. He wasn't elite.
Come on.
Brian, did you just mention Ryan Perilou, dude?
Ryan Perilou was a great recruit.
Next, you're gonna bring up Matt Malk, right? Come on, man. I understand Matthew was just, he's showing hope from Notre Dame. Like their narrative is not changing, bro. If you don't get a big time, we said either it has to be an NFL elite quarterback, or at worst, he has to be an elite college quarterback. At worst.
Ian was a very, very, very good quarterback in college. And that wasn't enough. So it just shows you the range right there.
See, there you go. Angel Flores. I don't know if Angel's being sarcastic. Indy Nation, we don't win the recruiting championship, but we win the graduation percentage championship, and that's important. Hey, man, on Saturdays, I don't give a darn about GPAs. I'm sorry. I don't care about your GPA on Saturday, dude. And the fans that come to the stands, when they're looking at the scoreboard, you don't get extra points for your GPA. When you're on that football field, that's what it's all about.
They've been reading too many recruiting pamphlets and recruiting videos,
Right. Anthony Solomon, yes. Nate Montana was average. Absolutely. Let's see. A lot of people, man, are tripping on the fact that Matthew said, elite Alabama didn't have elite quarterbacks.
Yeah, they've had the most elite quarterbacks, probably. Like, not even didn't have them; they had the most.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Clausen was the last big quarterback. Oh, Gunnar Kill, he was a local guy, 5-star. No, degree means everything. Now, I disagree with that. I'm not about to shortchange what a degree from Notre Dame means. Like, that degree means everything. So we're not about to do that. We're not about to downplay the degree from Notre Dame. That means everything. Yeah, Caleb Downs is a big get. Peyton Bowen, Christian Gray. Like, we'll talk about this tomorrow morning. Yeah, we'll compare Christian Gray and Justin Rhett on tomorrow's show for everybody. I'm a Christian Gray guy. Justin Rhett, from Gorman, he gets a lot of take because he's from Gorman, a lot of buzz, but Yo, Christian Gray is the dude for me out of St. Louis, and you start putting Peyton Bowen at the safety position and Caleb Downs. You start putting together that type of crew. I'm telling you, this defensive class in 2023 has an opportunity to be the best ever at Notre Dame. The way it started out. And
No,
that's
absolutely. It's saying something, but it's saying also that we know the defense went from being the lead, but now it's the spotlight of the team with Marcus Freeman, the head coach. So I'm expecting to see a lot of top defensive players commit. Now I just want to see that one quarterback commit that we can lean on in the tough times.
like this one here. This is the last one, bro. And then we can let everybody go so we can get ready for tomorrow. I don't disagree. I don't think Davis should start, but y'all really would keep Lindsey over Davis is insane, considering he's literally gets hurt every time he touches the ball. You're the quarterback, man. You can handle that one.
Well, I think they both serve different purposes. I think Avery gives us a good. Well, I think Avery's more replaceable than Braden Lindsey right now, just because Braden has that speed. So if you can get him half of the time, I think he's still a bigger threat than what Avery can offer in the total scheme of things. Um, and then with just Braden Lindsey, you don't have to use him every down. You know, you could use him for big plays like we did with Fuller in the very beginning of his career. Use him for some big plays as a utility guy. And he can still be able to do what he needs to do and get a young guy in place of that. That can get more of those reps that Avery would consume anyway.
Avery Davis is a slot receiver, man. That's it. He's a slot receiver coming off an ACL. Like, I don't care how much you dislike Braden Lindsey. Avery Davis is a slot receiver coming off an ACL. I mean, like we just really don't see it. Then he comes back, and if he's not the same and doesn't produce, then fans will be all over the message boards talking about him and saying, like, yo, we should have let him go. That's man,
Just a fan. That's a fan thing. I don't know.
yeah. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, subscribe, share, like. We appreciate you guys so much for jumping on with us, for this emergency podcast to really talk about the wide receiver room. And I'll get this one up last but not least. Yeah, I'm not here to play school, man. No.
Not on Saturdays.
No. And I'm all about education. I promise.
I want to play whatever Alabama plays. How about that?
Man, so we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, bright and early, 9 a.m. Eastern time. We'll be talking a little bit more about decommitment and, some of the things that'll be happening. We are on signing day eve tomorrow.
That's right.
So we'll get into that, and then we'll tell you about our signing day show and how that's going to look on Wednesday. So for Malik, Zaire, Overtime Malik, I'm Shaun Davis, SD2 Mics. Spin it different, people. Sleep well.